So I have three pretty unique devices here from Loupedeck. Loupedeck are sponsoring this video. They wanted me to show you guys the different consoles that they have, go through some of the features and functionality, and show you what you can do with them. By the way, if you haven't already seen my first Loupedeck video, make sure to check it out. I cover how to use Lightroom and Final Cut Pro with it. So I've actually been using the Loupedeck Live for the last year now. It's actually been part of my gaming setup. If you guys have seen my gaming setup videos, you will have seen this in there. I basically use it as a macro pad, shortcuts for sort of productivity, shortcuts to do different various things on my PC whilst I'm gaming or doing whatever else on my PC. This has become basically my macro pad. That's what these are. These are essentially macro pads on steroids, because macro pads usually are just keys with nothing else, just keys. These are essentially customizable keys, customizable macro pads. Because not only do they have buttons and dials, they also have a touchscreen, a touchpad, and each of these individual squares and blocks that you see can actually be changed, customized to whatever you like. And you can even change them on the fly with having different screens of different shortcuts, of different buttons. There's just so much you can do with these things. The sort of capabilities and the possibilities of them are really down to whatever you can think of. These are essentially productivity beasts. They're meant to aid your everyday workflow when it comes to your desk setup, just making sure you can get things done quicker. So let's go through the three different consoles that we have here. They have the CT, which is the big boy, they have the Live, and then they have the Live S. So the Live and the Live S are actually very, very similar. The Live S is their newer product. It's essentially a smaller version of the Live. It's meant to be a sort of more accessible version. The build quality of it isn't as good as the other two because it's meant to be a cheaper product, but the functionality is essentially the same. The CT, like I said, is the big boy. This is the one that is very much targeted at creatives like myself, people who are working in Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, any sort of creative apps. This is what you should probably get, mainly because it has a lot more functionality, it has a lot more buttons, and it has this neat little dial that also has a screen on it that is also touchscreen. So there's a lot you can do with the CT, and like I said, I've been using the Live for the past year, but I can see myself using this a lot more now that I've got it for Final Cut Pro stuff, just color grading and things like that. This can be very useful. When it comes to pricing, the CT goes for $559, the Live goes for $269, and then the Live S goes for $189. So you can see there is quite a price jump between the CT and the Live. And like I said, it's mainly because this is targeted at creative professionals, for someone who's very much going to benefit from something like this, speeding up their workflow and helping them earn more money. So what makes each of these consoles powerful is Loupedeck's marketplace. So they have so many different plugins, profiles, icons, and just a bunch of other stuff to basically help you get going. Because obviously you don't want to be spending hours setting up shortcuts and setting up different things for your favorite program. The marketplace has all those profiles ready to go for you. So here I have the marketplace in front of me. You can, if we just actually sort by most popular, most downloaded, we can see they have ones for Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, Lightroom CC, DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro with Command Post. So the Command Post is one of the new ones. It does a few more complex things that the simple Final Cut Pro one doesn't do. They also have the Notion one, Slack, Infinity Designer. So the aim is to search for whatever programs you use day to day, search for a profile and install it so that it's installed on your Loupedeck. So let's connect up our Loupedeck. They do provide a USB-C to USB-C cable, which is braided. Very nice to see. So once we're connected up, we can see the shortcuts that I have set up right now. These are just sort of default ones that I have set up for doing various different things. And we can have different screens as well. So this is the home screen. We have screen 1, screen 2, screen 3, screen 4, screen 5, screen 6, screen 7. And the idea is you can of course customize each screen to have whatever shortcuts you like. And of course we have the dials down the sides as well. So we can adjust the volume, media track control, website scrolling and brightness as well. And that will actually work directly with my MacBook, so I can adjust the brightness from here. Now of course you can do that on the keyboard, no problem. But you can of course also put it on the Loupedeck. This is where the software comes in, where you can see your Loupedeck connected up and you can see all your buttons, all of the things that you have going on. And you can of course add things that you like, add any shortcuts or anything. So there's a bunch of OS options here as well. So we can see the clipboard, we can see control center, date and time, developer stuff, device navigation, media control, and we can add all of this on here. So maybe for example, we want to have media play and pause. We can just drag and drop it, and there we are straight away. And then I can press that button to, of course, play or pause my music on my machine. A new addition recently is their AI plugin. So I've actually set the AI stuff to screen 4 on my Loupedeck. And there are a bunch of things here that I've added, but there are a ton of other stuff as well. So on the Loupedeck app, we can actually see all of the different options that they have for the AI assistant. There are so much here. So convert selected text to emojis, write a short story. You can do things like find a recipe, give me ideas for, make a list of, explain something, summarize this text. You can also analyze selected text. They also have some programming options. So you can do things like write a function in JavaScript that does, and then whatever your selection is. It's pretty incredible the amount of stuff that you can do here. You can also correct grammar in selected text, improve style of selected text, write an email if you like, and then you can do a bunch of other stuff like ask AI, send selected text to AI. It is like pretty much having an AI assistant that's on call. You don't have to go to a specific website. You don't have to boot up a specific app. If you have this on a desk, you can simply press a button and you can have the AI work for you. One of my other recent favorites is the Figma profile. So I'm in Figma pretty much every single day. I'm designing stuff, editing thumbnails, doing all sorts of work in Figma. Figma is probably one of my most used programs. And now they've added a profile for Figma where you can have access to all these different shortcuts. So yeah, we have a screen here for shortcuts, another screen, second screen, third screen. There are so many screens here, so many different things you can do. And a lot of these shortcuts take time to figure out. But one of my favorites, and the one that I use most, is the color picker. So you can pick color and it will instantly pick up the color picker. I can choose a color and it's copied to my clipboard. I can apply that color to wherever I like in my design. Like, that is brilliant. That to me is such a little thing, but it makes such a big difference in my workflow, because of course Figma, I'm doing all sorts of color adjustments all the time, adding color to text, images, shapes, whatever it might be. Having the color picker, just that one alone is worth it for me. But of course there are a bunch of other things here. So you can do a rectangle, make a rectangle in Figma. We have the pen tool. Maybe we can just make a quick shape like so. If you're someone who uses Figma a lot, I would highly recommend checking this one out. And then we're going to look at the Final Cut Pro one. So I'm actually going to switch this one out for the Loupedeck CT, because I think the Loupedeck CT is a lot more relevant here for the Final Cut Pro one. Another great thing that I completely forgot to mention is that whatever program you use, it will dynamically select the profile for whatever application. So you don't have to go into Loupedeck, change which sort of set of shortcuts you want. It'll automatically do it for you. So here we are in Final Cut Pro. It has automatically changed the profile to Final Cut Pro. And by default, this is what we see. It's pretty nice how we have a clock. That's pretty cool to see. But let's say I want to adjust the color of this clip that I have selected here. I can press color like so, and now we're given a bunch of new different options for the color controls. So let's go to color wheels, and then we can select whichever color wheel. So let's just say we want to choose the shadows wheel. We're also going to select the shadow dials like so, and now the dials will also change to the shadows. So we can start adjusting the RGB for the shadows, we can adjust the saturation, we can adjust the brightness, and we can jump frames as well. So maybe I want to go actually earlier on in the clip to somewhere like here. Now we can actually start adjusting the brightness of the shadows like so. And of course we can reset it just by clicking down and it'll reset it. But of course that makes the shadows look really washed out. We want them to be nice and deep. So we're going to bring the shadows down to around there. I think that looks pretty good. But what's really great here is that we can take it a step further and use the dial. So the dial will change the shadow sort of contrast, the brightness. But like I said, this is a touchscreen. So we can actually use this to adjust the color of the shadows entirely. So we can move it around like so. Maybe we want the shadows to be warmer or more orange, more red, we can do that. And then we can of course double tap to reset it completely. So let's bring the shadows back down again to have some contrast. Maybe now we want the shadows to be blue. So we can bring the dial to like blue, purple, like so, bring it down. And yeah, we'll do it. Like, this is just so cool and unique to the CT. You won't have it on the other ones. This is what the CT gives you. This very impressive dials with a bunch of other shortcuts here. So we can undo stuff as well if we want to. So maybe we just want to go back, undo all that. We can do that as well. So yeah, the CT is definitely targeted for things like this. Final Cut Pro, Premiere Pro. When you're doing sort of more adjustments and you don't want to have to go through all these different screens, you can do it quickly on here. This is where the CT comes into play. So that's it for this video. Make sure to check out Loupedeck's products. If you're looking for a macro pad that is better than pretty much every other macro pad out there and can help you just get your work done quicker, make you more productive. These are awesome, so make sure to check them out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.